It's a very good afternoon. You're watching ZTN News Blitz. Let's take a look at stories making headlines today. COVID-19 protocol fatigue worries WHO. Zimbabwe power tariffs remain the lowest in the region. Zim Group's eye Old Mutual Amazing Voices top prize. And in sport, Chibuku Super Cup enters week 2. The World Health Organization has noted growing fatigue in the implementation of COVID-19 protocols in Zimbabwe, a development the global health body says predisposes Zimbabwe to a third wave of the virus. While commending the progress the country has made in containing the virus, WHO country representative Dr. Alex Gasasira said authorities should intensify containment strategies in the coming weeks to avoid a surge in cases. Zimbabwe recently detected the Indian variant of the COVID-19 virus, which saw the Midland city of Kwekwe being placed under a 2-week focalized lockdown. In the last 4 days, Zimbabwe has recorded 161 new infections. To date, the country has recorded 38,845 cases and 1,592 deaths since the onset of the pandemic in March last year.
Despite the progress, we are still in a very delicate and unpredictable situation. Very significant proportion of our population remain susceptible to COVID-19. We are seeing emergence of variants across the world and being confirmed in Zimbabwe. In the coming weeks and months, it will be critical that the ongoing implementation of proven strategies are sustained and intensified, empowering and engaging communities, continuing support to the frontline health workers, strengthening health system resilience will be especially important.
Zimbabwe's prepaid electricity tariffs remain the lowest in the SADC region, despite a 30% hike effected on Thursday by the country's power utility. The latest hike sees the 200-unit package used by many households rise from about 870 Zimbabwe dollars to 1,127. The new pricing, including levy, sees the first 50 units or kilowatt hours rising from 2.6 US cents per kilowatt hour. This latest increase still sees Zimbabweans paying the lowest for electricity in Southern Africa. In Zambia, consumers pay 3.1 US cents per kilowatt hour, in Botswana 11 cents and 16 cents in South Africa. Is this hike justified? Zimbabwe Energy Regulatory Authority CEO Eddington Mazambani says it's not a tariff hike, but an adjustment which was due last year.
All right. In October of 2019, we approved an indexation formula. This is not a tariff, but it's an adjustment according to the indexation formula which was approved in 2019.
Economist Professor Gift Mugaru says the latest hike will be reflected in price increases across the board.
The rate of inflation in Zimbabwe is what we call cost-push inflation, which includes cost of utilities, where energy is included. And obviously, you know that every sector in this economy relies on power.
Health workers whose houses were razed by fire at Mpilo Central Hospital in Bulawayo have received an undisclosed amount of money from the Department of Civil Protection. The money is meant to help them recover from their losses. 39 health workers were left homeless after fire gutted their halls of residence on Wednesday night, destroying property worth an estimated 500,000 United States dollars. The affected doctors are now temporarily housed at Bulawayo Polytechnic College and St. Patrick's Hotel. Investigations into the cause of the fire are still underway, although authorities suspect an electrical fault. Correspondent Natasha Chihandy spoke to the acting provincial medical director for Bulawayo, Dr. Welcome Lilo.
So far, we have been able to acquire accommodation, decent accommodation for our colleagues. We have been able to as well give them food, so their meals are being catered for here. We've just had a very fruitful meeting with colleagues where they've highlighted their most urgent needs, and as government through the Department of civil protection unit. The government has moved swiftly to avail a substantial amount of money to cater for the most immediate needs.
Head of the Special Anti-Corruption Unit, Tabani Mpofu, says Zimbabwe should follow Chinese and Singapore models in dealing with corruption. In Singapore, punishment for corruption is a fine of up to $100,000 or a jail term of up to 7 years, or
those countries that have fought corruption very effectively do not bother themselves with many things that you burden us with. I'm talking about Singapore, and yes, I'm talking about China, where there is less corruption than in so-called democratic countries. You all know about Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore. You all know why there is no corruption in Singapore. The surest way, Andy, the surest way of losing a war is not realizing that you are in one. The surest way of losing a war is not realizing that you are in one. And when you go to war, holding a constitution, wanting to read the rights of your opponents, are you going to win that war? So you decide as Zimbabweans, do you want a war against corruption, or do you want a war dense with corruption?
Meanwhile, Mpofu also contested the view that there is a system of catching and releasing high-ranking citizens implicated in corruption cases.
Now, our constitution enshrines that each and every one of us is entitled to some bail before we are taken to court if there are reasons to do so, premised on the fact that we are all innocent until proven guilty. So when accused persons appear before court and they are released on bail, those who seek to gain political mileage out of that then coin that release. That person has been released, when actually it is a normal process of the functioning of the criminal justice system.
At least 4,500 people are set to get employment at the Afresheen smelting plant located in Selous, Mashonaland West Province. The company is targeting 3 million tons of ferrochrome annually. Chinhoyi correspondent Conrad Mupesa was with Mines and Mining Development Minister Winston Chitando, who expects work at the mine to begin in July.
500 million import substitution and 490 million in terms of export, in terms of the actual steel. Then there will be other, from the entirety of the project, there will be other benefits in terms of that. If we look at the total production of ferrochrome, which is about 650,000 tons, I think about 150,000 tons is what will be used in the capital steel. Then we'll be looking at 500,000 tons for the export, and at the cost of about 80 million, so $80 per ton. Is it $800 per ton? We're looking at about 400 million exports from ferrochrome. Then we're getting about 1.4 billion.
Managing Director of Afresheen, Benson Shu, speaks.
Here, only got 5 furnaces. The total production is 150,000 tons of high-carbon ferrochrome. But for Qinshan alone, we need 3 million tons of ferrochrome per annum, which is 20 bigger than what we produce here. So the potential is huge. So what I'm saying that in Chivu, we're going to put up 500,000 tons ferrochrome. But even doing that is not enough to satisfy our internal consumption. So there's a lot of room, a lot of potential to fill it up in the future. Yes. So also for Qinshan, you see, we're not like some other investors. They are still outside Zimbabwe. They want to make a project in Zimbabwe here and there. But we're here already for 10 years. So we know the environment, we know the people.
Harare City Council has been hit by an exodus of health workers, with 240 nurses having resigned in a space of 1 year. Council spokesperson Michael Chideme told ZTN that council clinics are now operating with skeletal staff and often rely on stand-in nurses. Chideme attributed the exodus to poor remuneration. He spoke to ZTN.
There is a huge brain drain in our nursing staff. We have so far, as of yesterday, we had lost about 242 nurses they complain that the working conditions or in terms of remuneration is too low, so they would rather go to greener pastures. We're having to rely on a lesser number of nurses. Say where we used to have 5 nurses at a clinic, probably now we're operating with 2 or 3, and we're having to resort to locum nurses.
The coronavirus pandemic has affected businesses around the world. Some had to close shop and the fashion industry wasn't spared. However, the local fashion industry saw an opportunity for growth.
Producing clothes in Zimbabwe has proven to be a nightmare for many, as costs incurred are too high, making the clothes very expensive compared to imports. The booming of the second-hand clothing markets have negatively affected growth of the local clothing sector. As the world introduced lockdowns, each nation was left to fend for itself. Innovation was the only way out. Local retail clothing outlets forged partnerships, and it's a decision they may never regret.
As a result of COVID, there are lockdowns in the countries in which we procure. So what we then decided is to at least empower our local manufacturers or local tailors and designers. We are seeing it's bearing fruit, still in infancy, but at least we are doing something to the community and the people at large.
Mambada says partnerships have reduced prices by 20% and the quality remains the same.
However, the part that we still need to negotiate is the part of labor, because everything else we've managed to at least scale it down, but the labor in Zimbabwe, maybe because by Zimbabwean standards that's what they get. So if we manage to do at least mass production, then we can bring the cost down, significantly down. I think we can challenge the imported products.
Operations manager for Mega Empire, who have also benefited immensely, was ecstatic.
We've also seen that it has brought positive impact in our profit margins, and as well as the standard of quality of our garments, it has improved a lot. Since Pipeline Fashions, it is well known in supplying or in selling of quality shirts, quality blazers, quality suits. So this has also pushed us to improve on our quality.
Although effects of the COVID-19 pandemic were felt, but did not stall expansion.
Just before lockdown, we actually went to Mtare to look for space, which we found. Unfortunately, then there was lockdown immediately, I think on the 4th of January. And we ended up shelving those plans and focusing on probably survival with whatever we had. However, God has been gracious to us. We then started to shift focus to say, let's start with what is available to us in Harare, and then we can then expand outward.
The Old Mutual Amazing Voices second season, currently running in South Africa, is getting heated with 2 Zimbabwean groups eyeing the big prize. Only 6 groups out of the 10 made it to the finals are in the running for the 100,000 United States dollars top prize. Zimbabwean groups, The Unveiled and Effect, are among the remaining 6. ZTN spoke with founder of The Unveiled, Joshua Mtima, from his South African base.
There's a lot of pressure that's happening. A lot of teams, they're quite good, but we're still going strong and we're bringing our A game. So yeah, it's been a lot of pressure that we're dealing with, but yeah, it's not something that we can't deal with. The second thing is we're gonna bring back the money home. I'm so certain. We believe in that and it's gonna happen. So yeah, please continue supporting us. We want to make this happen. We want to raise the Zimbabwean flag and take it to the next level. And it will be possible with you guys. Thank you for your support. We love you so much.
They usually shy away from the spotlight and bask in the glory of making others look and feel good. Such is the life of a makeup artist. But this time around, the spotlight is on them, with the ZARA Battle of the Makeup Artists final happening in Harare this Sunday. It's down to the final 12 after the competition started with 60 participants. We spoke to event organizer Valentine Joe.
Sunday, we're having the finals of the Battle of the Makeup Artists. We have now streamlined them down to 12 contestants, and among them we've got one male, and the person who wins gets to have the ZARA ambassadorship. Then the other prize that we're getting is People's Choice that will be voted for via our online platform. That's our Facebook handle at ZARA Zimbabwe, and our Instagram handle, ZARA Cosmetics Official Zimbabwe. One thing I've come to realize is that Zimbabwe has so much talent. I would want to thank ZARA Zimbabwe, our company, for coming up with this initiative. There's so many talented people that are in here.
ZTN's makeup talent, Natasha Chihandy, is one of the finalists in the Battle of the Makeup Artists. We spoke to Natasha.
I'm quite nervous, to be honest. I'm nervous. There's a lot of talent out there, but I'm so grateful that I made it to the final round. I'm expecting people to be on their A game and them pushing so hard, so I just have to pull up my socks.
The German government has confirmed more than $1 billion in development and aid for Namibia. This was said in a statement which recognized the genocidal killings carried out by colonial settlers against indigenous people in the first years of the 20th century. Germany's Foreign Minister Heiko Maas said his country bore historical and moral responsibility for the atrocities. He said Germany would ask forgiveness from Namibia and the victims' descendants. Between 1904 and 1908, German colonial forces wiped out over 80% of the Nama and Herero people's population in what historians now call the Forgotten Genocide. Millions of people around the We move now to entertainment, where millions of people around the world tuned into Friends, the reunion, when it premiered last night. The television special saw the cast of Friends reunite to talk about the hit sitcom, which filmed for a decade starting in 1994. According to the show's producers, it was only the second time that the core cast of 6 had been together since the series finale in 2004. The 90-minute reunion special featured the full cast: Jennifer Aniston, Courtney Cox, Lisa Kudrow, Matt LeBlanc, Matthew Perry, and David Schwimmer. Comedian James Corden was on hand as well to interview the cast. We kick off our sports news with football, where the build-up of the second round of the Chibuku Super Cup has been quite interesting. From the Harare City players' salary saga to Dynamo's finally registering 6 more players, it's been an intriguing week. So what can we expect on the field of play? For more on this weekend's fixtures, we spoke to Sunday Mail sports reporter Langton Nyakwenda.
It has been quite an interesting week in the build-up to the second round of the second round of matches of the Chibuku Super Cup. Contrasting fortunes at Harare City and Dynamos. Dynamos have been given a boost. 6 new players have been registered. That includes Shadrack Nyawa from Blawa Chiefs, Numensi Achali, the striker from Capes United. Also Gornos Murwira has now been given the green light to play for Dynamos. Also Lukum Sikiri, Blue Antonio, Juki Sumba, they are all available for selection when Dynamos take on Yada at National Sports Stadium on Saturday. But it has been gloom at Harare City. We have not been training until probably today because of non-payment of salaries, but we hear that they've been paid and they will be training starting today. It's an interesting match. Harare City taking on Capes United, Louis Chitembo's former side. It's a lighter version of the Harare Derby. Darlington Dodo, who formerly was Chitembo's assistant at Capes, facing his former boss. In Mutare, we have the Battle of the Barracks, the army teams, Cremon Bullets. They showed a lot of grit when they beat Amanika Diamonds last weekend, and so did Rhinos when they beat Wallopta Tenax 4-1. So
in Bulawayo, it's the big one as defending champions Highlanders take on Chicken Inn at Barberfield on Sunday. We spoke to the Chronicle's senior sports reporter Kumbuzo Moyo.
This week, we are expecting a blood and thunder affair, and of course, players to look out for Highlanders is the goal scorer, that is Navaya, midfielder who was the captain last week, Mawis Damasugu, as well as Andrew Tandi. For the goalkeeper, I think Coach Mandla Mbofu is likely to make some changes. Remember, we had a debutant Future in goals, but he looked a bit jittery, especially in crosses, in dealing with crosses, and we might see a skipper, Ariel Spanda, coming in goals for Highlanders. Chicken Inn, it's a very strong squad on paper. They beat Bulawayo City by 2-0 with the goalkeeper Donovan Bernard hardly tested, but he's likely to meet some to come under test this weekend when they play Highlanders. In defense, Chicken Inn will be stabilized by a new boy, Nelson Ketala, while George Machiga is expected to be in his usual best is exhibited last week.
Here's a rundown of the weekend's fixtures. On Saturday, Barberfield's Bulawayo City are taking on Bulawayo Chiefs. At Sakuva, it's the Army Derby as Rhinos clash with Cranbourne Bullets. Yada play Dynamos at the National Sports Stadium, while Triangle engage FC Platinum at Mandava. On Sunday, it's ZPC Kariba versus Herentals at the National Sports Stadium. Ngezi Platinum entertain Wawa as Chicken Inn and Highlanders clash in arguably the pick of the fixtures. New Boys, Tenax take on Menika Diamonds, and Caps United renew their rivalry with Harare City. In rugby, the Zimbabwe senior men's rugby team, the Sables, face Zambia in a friendly on the 2nd of June to mark the start of their season. The match is set for the Machinery Exchange Stadium ahead of the Rugby Africa Games. ZTN Sports spoke with Sables loose forward Aidan Burnett at Old Georgians Sports Club.
We're looking good on the field, you know. We've only been together for a week and a half, but things are looking sharp. The guys are all switched on, and you know, we're going into Zambia very confident. You know, they are a tough competitor, but I'm sure it'll be a good performance. So we'll see what happens.
Other sports action to look forward to this weekend: the Zimbabwe A cricket team take on South Africa A in the first one-day game at Harare Sports Club tomorrow. Top motocross rider Emmanuel Bako will be competing at the Mayfair Gearbox Inland Motocross Championship Series in Pretoria this weekend. And the big one is without a doubt the UEFA Champions League final between Manchester City and Chelsea tomorrow. And with that, we come to the end of our Blitz. Remember, you can connect with us on Twitter at ZTN News, Instagram at ZTN, and do visit our website ztn.co.zw for these stories and more updates. Thanks for watching.